Welcome back to the podcast, everyone. I'm here with Stephen and John, as always, and we're joined by a very special guest. The Unbreakable Michael Elgin is here. Michael, thank you for talking with us today.
Oh, no, thank you very much for having me.
So this weekend, you've got a big weekend ahead of you. You'll be facing Rhino in Dearborn, and then you've got Defy or Deny in Michigan. What are your thoughts heading into these two big matches?
Ronald's always a tough opponent, and I know that I got to be on top of my game and be stronger than ever. He's a big guy, and he's been around the world and done a lot in wrestling. And on my way back to the Ring of Honor World Title, I need to beat guys like that. So I'm focused and ready. And as I said, I want to be Ring of Honor World Champion. So Milwaukee's a big night because that gives me a chance to get a title shot, and
Hmm.
that belt is definitely my goal in 2013.
Just prior to this, we ended 2012 with the Final Battle pay-per-view, and you faced Roderick Strong. What were your thoughts on that match?
Roderick Strong, no matter how I feel about him, he's definitely one of the best wrestlers out there, and for sure one of the best wrestlers of Ring of Honor, and definitely a pioneer of Ring of Honor. I know he came in not quite at the beginning, but he's definitely had a strong hold on the promotion for a long time, and it's always a pleasure sharing the ring with someone like that. And I thought that we had a pretty good match, and I think just given more time and another match, we can do even better and definitely put something in the history books.
Mm. So now we'll take a look back at sort of your early days in Ring of Honor and how that came about leading up to now, obviously. You had your first match in 2007, I think. How did that initial match come about?
The first match I did in 2007 was just like a pre-show match, and prior to that, I'd worked with B.J. Whitmer, Jimmy Jacobs, and Jimmy Reyes, and I showed interest in Ring of Honor, and they kind of put me in contact with Gabe. And one weekend, I just canceled my shows and drove out to New Jersey and Boston trying to get a chance. He gave me a pre-show match.
You made a few sort of infrequent appearances, I suppose we can say, in sort of 2007 and 2008. Were you getting much feedback on those? Any sort of indication of bringing you onto the roster full time?
There's no really indication of bringing me onto on the roster full time, but I definitely got advice and things I needed to work on, and just things that I needed to do to be able to be a part of Ring of Honor.
I believe you made your sort of full roster debut in 2010 as part of the House of Truth. Can you remember whose idea it was to put you with the House of Truth, and what was your initial reaction to that?
I believe it was Truth Martinis. From what I heard, he had an option of myself or someone else, and he had asked some of his close friends who he should pick, and it was actually Jimmy Jacobs who spoke up on my behalf and said that I'd be somebody that might not get the initial pop like the other person would, but in the long run, I'd be a better choice, and I'd work hard to be somebody in Ring of Honor. So I
Mm.
definitely owe a lot to Truth Martini and Jimmy Jacobs. And I was excited because I'd known Truth Martini for a long time. I actually had my first match for a show he was running in 2003. So
Hmm.
we went back a long time, and just on road trips and stuff, I got to speak with him throughout the years and knew he was very knowledgeable, and he would definitely, look out for me and put me in the right direction.
So, what were your thoughts on that first year in Ring of Honor? You had a few pay-per-view appearances. You wrestled El Generico at the ninth anniversary show. You also did a few tag matches where you were sort of looking for another member of the House of Truth. What did you think of that, initial year?
I thought the year went well. I think I just kind of scratched the surface on what I was capable of and what I could do for the company. But I also think that they gave me some good opportunities that I showed that I could, be in the ring with guys like El Generico and Eddie Edwards. So I definitely was happy with the year, and I think that it progressed well, and it led into 2012, which I thought was a really probably my best year in wrestling. So
Mm.
I think that 2011 was definitely a good start of things to come.
We have a question from our forum here. This is from KO. He says, "How do you remember the final match at the Survivor of the Fittest tournament in 2011? And did you feel like that was a real breakout moment for you?"
I definitely thought that was a breakout moment. I was in the ring with five other amazing talents, and I remember being told that I'd be in the last two, and just I had my mind going, and I thought of ideas and just wanted to make it something special. And I remember really focusing hard on that. And definitely afterwards, I think that a lot of steam was picked up, and the fans started to see that I could do something. And I also think that uh, the bookers of Ring of Honor definitely saw something in me after that
Mm.
night, because I remember being told that right after that match, uh, they knew that they wanted me in the main event WrestleMania weekend.
Did you know when you won the tournament that the actual cash-in would be so far away? I think it was almost a year. It didn't take place until October at Glory by Honor.
Yeah, no, you know what? It was never discussed when I would be cashing it in, or really I knew that there was plans moving forward, and I never really questioned it. And I think that cashing in, a year later was good, and also, I got to do it in my hometown, so that was
Mm.
always a blessing. And so I think that I think the wait was okay.
Mm. Fudge on our forums wants to know your thoughts on the match you had with Davey at WrestleMania weekend at Showdown in the Sun, and that actually won our match of the year for 2012, and I think it won the match of the year most places really. I mean, what were your thoughts on that fantastic match?
I know it took a while to kind of set in. I was definitely very proud of it after the match, and the
Mm.
reactions we got from the fans, and the reactions from Davey and Jim Cornette and Hunter. But it really just took a while to set in, and then it just became one of those proud moments, and something that I know I'll leave behind.
Mm.
Whether people truly believe in or pay attention to the 5-star matches and stuff, just the fact that it was listed as that means it's on a list of great matches that people look at. So it's something that I'll be remembered by.
After this, heading into sort of the later path of last year, the House of Truth started to break down. Did you feel it was the right time to start a break away from that group?
I definitely do. I think that I was on the cusp of doing something outside of that, and it just made sense to kind of move on. And also, there's only so many matches you can have with a roster. So it definitely opened up new, fresh matches with me and
Mm.
Roderick. Not only that, it also just gives an opportunity, whether it be somebody else in the company, to get into a bigger storyline, being part of the House of Truth, or new talent coming in. It just opens stuff up. So I think it definitely was the right time, because now, there's more that can come from it.
How did you feel about the slow build for the term? Because there was a lot of sort of teasing of this dissension between you and Roddy, and there wasn't really a match until, final battle right at the end of the year.
I hated the slow build. It was probably the most frustrating thing ever to me. I just felt that there was a lot of things we could have done that could have still kept us away from a match, but we didn't have to,
Mm.
bicker and then still team and do all that kind of stuff. I know even like the promos we were doing and stuff, I didn't really feel comfortable with, because me as a person, somebody downgrading me in real life, I'm gonna react to it, and there
Yeah.
were situations where I couldn't and everything. So it was really frustrating, and I thought that it could have moved much faster, to be honest. I think probably our first match maybe should have been in Chicago at the anniversary show, or not the anniversary show. Sorry,
Death Before Dishonor?
believe it was, yes, Death Before Dishonor. I really thought that should have been our first match, even earlier possibly, but
Mm.
I think that would have been the right time to do the first one.
Do you think perhaps wrapping it up at Final Battle would have been more appropriate rather than because to me it sort of feels like it's getting started now at Final Battle rather than things coming to a head.
Yeah, I definitely think that the ending at Final Battle would have been good, and then we come into a new year with new things. But I mean, I think that in the long run, it's still going to pay off. I mean, there's different interactions we can do with each other now, and there's still big shows this year that we can do something special at.
Hmm.
Fudge asks, what are your thoughts on your match with Kevin Steen at Gloria Barner? Obviously, that was your shot from Survival of the Fittest, and that was another match that was really well. A lot of people thought that was a great match. So, what were your thoughts on that one?
That's just another match that I was really happy with. To the point where after it, I kind of felt a little bit better than my match with Davey. Nothing against the match I had with Davey, or Davey as an opponent or wrestler or anything like that. I know there's something about that match that I felt clicked, and there's some real big turning points in that match as well, where I think you know people believe that I was walking down to Toronto with the world title. So after it, I was definitely very proud of it, and it's always an honor to be in the ring with someone like Kevin Steen, and
Mm.
he's been a great champion, and just it's a match that I definitely hold dear to myself, and something that I hope to people remember and say, what do you like about Michael Elgin and Ring of Honor if I ever move on or do whatever, and I hope that match still stands out.
It must have been really cool for you to be in the ring with a fellow Canadian in Canada as well, in the main event as well.
Yeah, absolutely. That was definitely a big moment, I think, for both of us, and just Canadian wrestling in general. The scene around here, I don't think gets enough acknowledgement, in the fact that somebody homegrown right from that area, and then somebody from not too far away was in the main event of such a big show. I think that that showed there's some real talent here in Canada.
Mm. Harpoon IPA asks, you were involved in 2 Match of the Year candidates in 2012 at ROH. What is your next mountain to conquer in 2013 and beyond?
Sorry, what was the last part of that question?
What is your next mountain to conquer in 2013 and beyond?
Definitely become the Ring of Honor World Champion. I let out, a long time ago. That's my goal, and ever since I saw the first Ring of Honor show, and then they introduced their title, that's something that was a goal of mine when I became a pro wrestler. So that's definitely the next thing in line for me.
Recently, Jim Cornette stepped away from Ring of Honor. What are your experiences working alongside Jim?
Working alongside with him was great. He's got such a great mind, and truly is just has a great passion for wrestling. And nothing against him. I just think it's just some of the stuff that he wanted to accomplish and the ways he went about it was kind of outdated. I don't think he had a touch with what Ring of Honor was before he got there, and really in touch with what wrestling fans want nowadays. There has to be something more to it than just the fines and all that kind of stuff. And I really think that if he just was there to kind of guide it instead of put things in effect, it would have been much better. But as I said, he's a great mind, and nothing against Jim. He was great to have around, and really gave a lot of great advice for myself and all of us, to be honest.
I think in a recent shoot interview, I think Steve Corino said that the wrestlers is sort of a view of what Ring of Honor should be and what Cornette's view of Ring of Honor was quite far apart. And he said it was quite frustrating for the guys in the locker room that sort of that the two views were so far apart. Did you sort of witness that and feel that as part of the roster?
Yeah, most definitely. Just things like, fans, I think, wanna watch Ring of Honor to see athletic wrestling and wrestling they can't see anywhere else. And there were some times where our hands were tied and we couldn't really do that. So I just think that it lacked interest, really, and it definitely had that feeling about it.
So. Obviously, Delirious has taken over now the booking side of things. In your brief sort of time working alongside him, how does he sort of compare alongside Jim?
He's definitely doing a great job. I think that he's still kind of finishing off what was set in motion by himself and Jim before Jim left, and I think that he's moving forward at a good rate. And I think that the new things he has in mind and stuff are going to come off great. I mean, he's always accessible for us and has a great passion for it, and I know he just wants everything to go really good for everybody, and I think he's on the right path.
I mean, do you think the fact that he was, he's been a wrestler in Ring of Honor for a number of years and sort of understands what Ring of Honor was and what the fans maybe want, do you think that will help him and the wrestlers?
I definitely think so. As you said, he's been a part of Ring of Honor for a long time and seen it grow, and has saw the times that worked and the times that didn't work and what needed improvement. And so I definitely think that he has more of the mindset that all the wrestlers do, and knows what the fans might want to see from Ring of Honor moving forward.
A similar sort of question. Big T Champ asks, what is the overall mood or outlook on the future backstage since Delirious returned to full control?
I think it's good. We're all looking forward to the new year and what's coming out of it. And really, I think everybody's just in good spirits right now and wants to see everything go back to what Ring of Honor is all about. And I think that everybody's really happy with what's going on, the changes that have been made, and we're just gonna stay like that until I guess we get proved otherwise.
Mm. No, so you said that under Cornette you felt a bit sort of handcuffed. What sort of input did you get to put into your promo and your character? Did you have sort of a lot of input into that, or was it sort of do what you were told sort of thing?
Uh, it was kind of a here's what I want you to say or whatever, but there was points where you had to speak up, and I think that a lot of my promos were lacking because it was, you know, other people's direction than they wanted me to present myself as. But once I started getting comfortable enough to say, hey, like I don't see me doing that. This is what I'd like to do. I'd still get your key point in. I think that's when they started progressing. So if you spoke up and said, I want to change it or want to do this, you weren't looked down upon. But there was definitely a direction that they tried to have you do, whether it be comfortable or not for you.
Now we're going to move into some more general-based questions. From most of these are actually fan questions. Big T Champ asks, "Is your ultimate goal to get into WWE or TNA, or do you want to stay with Ring of Honor for at least a couple more years?"
I definitely want to stick it out in Ring of Honor. I'm still young, and there's still things I want to accomplish in Ring of Honor, and other things in wrestling that I want to accomplish that I can, being under contract to a company like Ring of Honor instead of WWE and TNA. But I think that everybody kind of gets into wrestling looking at WWE as the ultimate goal. Growing up, that's kind of the biggest thing available for a wrestling fan. So that's definitely the goal. But I wouldn't say next year or the year after. But it's definitely something I want to do.
Jake St. Pierre asks, "What motivated you to get into shape and make the transition from IWA Mid-South mainstay to ROH regular?"
I was always motivated to work out and everything, but early on in my wrestling career, I was like 200 pounds, still a thick frame, and then I had knee issues, and that just, trying to get bigger and eating a lot of food to try to gain mass, it just didn't always come on as good mass. So I got a little bit out of shape and chubby during that time, and then the knee problems just progressed with being sore and not being able to do my cardio and stuff like that. So really, that's just what kind of stopped me from getting in really good shape. Once the knee issue stopped and everything, that motivation was still there to make it, to a higher level of wrestling and to work out. And then I could change with a little bit more cardio, and then I watched my diet a little bit better and everything. So the motivation was always there, but I knew that things needed to change for me to get other places, and Ring of Honor was a goal of mine. So that's really just getting there was what motivated me.
You mentioned having to watch your diet, but Andy Tweet Stuff wants to know, how much meat does Michael Elgin eat a day?
I eat a whole lot of meat. I try to stick to lean ground beef and chicken, but I eat quite a bit. Between that and eggs, it's a expensive habit.
Nick's Mets Giants wants to know, how do you think you can improve as a wrestler?
I think there's always room for improvement in every aspect. Definitely a big thing is talking. I mean, I've worked on it, and I think that the recent promos I've been putting out and just had my free reign on it, I think that they've been good, not great. There's definitely still work to be needed. And in the ring, I mean, you always are learning something about wrestling, whether how you put matches together, how you go about things, conditioning, different styles you want to bring in and everything. So there's definitely big improvements in all things. If you think you're good enough to not need improvement, then why are you wrestling still? So I really think that I can just improve everything about myself as a wrestler still.
You're easily one of the strongest, if not the strongest wrestler in Ring of Honor, but Adam Bartolo wants to know, who in Ring of Honor can come closest to matching your strength?
I don't want to sit here and sound egotistical. I'm be honest, I'm not really sure. I just and that's not trying to downplay anybody's strength. It's just not something that people don't do the same power moves I do, so I couldn't tell their strength by that. And really, man, on the living in Canada and far away from pretty much everybody else on the roster, it's not like we get to hit the gym daily together. So I guess that's just a question you're gonna have to ask everybody on the roster and see who thinks they're just as strong or close to being as strong.
187 Joeism asks, which wrestler would you like to see in Ring of Honor?
I'd really like to see ACH, um, Irish Airborne, and Silas Young all be full time in Ring of Honor. I think all four of those guys are just amazing, and I think they'd really help the roster out.
Yes, that's four people that many Ring of Honor fans agree with you on, especially ACH. He seems to be one of the hottest prospects out there. And moving on to people on the current roster, Tom123 wants to know, who would you most like to work with in a feud?
Well, I think maybe probably Adam Cole or Tommaso Ciampa.
What separates them two, or why would you want to feud with them two over the rest of the roster?
I think that just the little bit of interaction myself and Adam Cole have had in Ring of Honor or PWG or anything have just been quite good, and I think that given more time in the ring and more time to develop a story between us, I just think we can do something really special. And Tommaso Ciampa, I mean, he started to come into his own before his knee injury, and he's motivated and always has great ideas and is always thinking of new things, and I see a lot of myself in him. When I say that, I mean, like, the motivation. He's always thinking about what to do. He's always coming up with ideas for himself and anybody on the roster. So I really think that just our minds would click really well and we could do some good stuff.
And finally, KL wants to know, what can you tell about Truth Martini outside the ring?
Man, he's a funny guy. He's a good guy to be on the road with. I don't know, how far I should get into it or anything, but I just got to be on the road with, and there's some fun stories that happen. I get to stay at his place a lot, and we tend to get ourselves in a little bit of trouble. And also, just he's a guy that says he never sleeps, but I don't think he's been awake very much on the drives. He's the guy that falls asleep and wakes up with, oh man, I don't sleep enough. A 10-minute nap didn't do anything, mind you. It's 5 hours down the road that he's been sleeping. So, but no, he's really knowledgeable and a good guy to be around with, and always a pleasure, and it's always fun to joke around on the road.
We have one final fan question from Marketh on our forum, who says, I say God created all men equal. What do you think?
I think they were wrong.
Thank you once again for talking with us today, Michael. Do you have a sort of a website or Twitter where fans can get in touch with you online?
No website yet, but just ROH Michael Elgin on Twitter.
All right, so thank you once again for taking the time to speak with us today.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Thank you to everyone for listening. We do hope you enjoyed the show, and we will see you all next week.